Are you visiting Rome and want to visit the Vatican, but maybe you don't want to wait in the very long lines to get through security? Because there will be long lines. Well, today you're in luck because we're going to tell you exactly how you can skip the line and some very important new rules for visiting St. Peter's Basilica. It all has to be done in advance, so be sure to watch to the end so you're not disappointed on your next trip to Rome.
Stay tuned.
Hi everyone, I'm Rick.
And I'm Andrea, and today we are at the Vatican, and we'll tell you some very important tips to avoid the very long lines when visiting the Vatican in Rome. We live in Italy and we travel around the country all the time, and for this reason, we like to share our knowledge with you and the tips to make your Italian vacation the best possible.
Absolutely.
Today we'll talk about the Vatican. The Vatican City is the smallest country in the world. In fact, it is only 856 meters long and 741 meters wide, basically seven times smaller than Central Park in New York, if you can believe that. The Vatican is completely surrounded by the city of Rome.
So they don't have their own beaches.
No, they don't. Most of the Vatican is close to the public. The two main areas of the Vatican that are most tourists visit are the Vatican Museums and St. Peter's Basilica, that is just behind us here. Now, most of you might ask about the Sistine Chapel. Why are you not talking about that? Well, in order to visit the Sistine Chapel, you will have to go through the Vatican Museums. For this reason, when we talk about the Vatican Museums, we talk about the Vatican Museums and the Sistine Chapel at the same time. Lastly, you can take the famous goofy photos right on the borderline with one foot in Italy and one foot at the Vatican, or like we did, one of us in Italy and one of us at the Vatican.
Kind of fun.
Kind of fun.
Okay, so let's start from St. Peter's Basilica. The entrance to the Basilica is free. However, there is going to be a very long line to get through it, through security. So if you want to visit it, how do you visit St. Peter's by skipping the line? Well, first, you can try to get here as early as possible, maybe before most of the tourists show up around 7 or 7:30 a.m. But that's not fun. I mean, that's not what I want to do. If you don't want to do that early in the morning, you can buy a skip the line ticket right from St. Peter's official website. And we will
Leave
leave.
it in the description.
Absolutely. Now, if you do this, there are a few important things that you need to consider. So first, you have to do it at least 3 days before your visit. You cannot buy a ticket for tomorrow or the day after. So you have to plan at least 3 days in advance. Second, this option is not free. It costs €7 for adults. Children younger than 7 years are free, and children over than 8 years are €4 per person at the time of the recording. Exactly. Third, you'll have to select a time slot for your visit. You can also add the visit of the dome while you book your visit, and you can choose to do it with or without the elevator. And then after that, you can proceed to the checkout.
Absolutely. Keep in mind that this ticket is just for the Basilica, not the Vatican Museum. Once you finish your purchase, you will receive a first email with the confirmation number, but this email is not your ticket. Keep this in mind.
Exactly.
You will then receive a second email 48 hours before your visit with a QR code for your visit, and this is your ticket. You will then receive a third email with another QR code or an activation link for your audio guide that you can bring with you inside the Basilica. Yes, it sounds a little complicated, but that's the way it is. However, there's another way of visiting St. Peter Basilica without the long line, and we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Absolutely. Now, let's talk about the dress code to visit St. Peter's Basilica. As we mentioned before in other videos, you're going to have to wear clothes that cover your shoulders and your knees in order to enter the Basilica. So make sure to pack these types of clothes when you come to Rome.
And wear them when you come to the Vatican.
Exactly.
Now, let's move on to the Vatican Museum and the Sistine Chapel. To visit the Vatican Museums and the Sistine Chapel and skip the really long line at the entrance, you will have to buy your skip the line tickets in advance. The procedure for this is much simpler. You can actually scan this QR code or check the link in the description below to buy the ticket that suits best your needs.
Absolutely.
You can choose a visit with or without a tour guide. Also, you can choose a visit that includes the visit of the Vatican Museum and of course the Sistine Chapel, and on top of that, also include the visit to the Basilica by entering from the back door through the museum itself, skipping the long line, which we think is the best way of doing it, and we strongly recommend these options.
Exactly. Now, one important thing to remember is that once you book your visit, you'll also have an assigned time slot. So make sure to go at that time and not before or after, because they probably won't let you in.
Last, I want to give you some very important piece of advice regarding scams. Once you arrive close to the Vatican, you will be approached by several people trying to sell you tickets and offering us the skip the line tickets.
Mhm.
Please do not buy tickets from them. Most of the time, they're not legit, or worse, they are scammers that they just try to get your money
Mhm.
and by selling you fake tickets.
Mhm.
So always buy your tickets from a legitimate and reputable source if you plan to visit the Vatican
Yep.
or any other sites in Italy or around the world.
Yeah, and by the way, this applies not just at the Vatican, but at the Colosseum and pretty much any other famous tourist sites in Italy and around the world.
Lastly, keep in mind that this is the entrance to St. Peter Basilica, here from St. Peter Square. It's not the entrance to the Vatican Museum. To enter the Vatican Museum, you have to go from another way, and you can see in this map up here.
Well, folks, this is what we've got for you today. We hope you've learned something. And if you found this video helpful, why not hit the like and subscribe button? This will help us a lot. And maybe even share it with some of your friends who might one day visit Rome. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching, and
We'll
we'll
see
see you.
you in the next video.
Ciao.